You can rely on alumni. Following the announcement that she is expecting her third child, Jinger Duggar has returned with a new podcast. Over the course of the past few weeks, the mother, who is 30 years old, has been recording her pregnancy. In addition, a significant number of her podcasts with Jeremy are about her impending kid. Nevertheless, a number of Redditors were taken aback when Jinger appeared to downplay the importance of her sister Jessa in her most recent post. Continue reading to find out why. Jinger Duggar shares the news that she is expecting her third child. In October of last year, Jinger and Jeremy made the announcement that they were expecting their third child. Some of the former cast members of Counting On revealed in an interview that they are extremely excited about the impending arrival of their child into their family. Jinger went on to say that her current pregnancy is not as large as the ones she has had in the past, which gives her the assurance that everything will go according to plan. A further revelation made by the married pair is that they are already aware of the gender of their third generation of children. However, before they divulge it to the whole public, they intend to throw a party to unveil the gender of the baby. In the most recent podcast, Jinger makes a reference to sister Jessa. There were some people on Reddit who commented about the most recent podcast that Jinger Duggar released, in which she and Jeremy addressed home births. The former cast member of Counting On has stated that she is not opposed to the idea of giving birth at home. However, she does have a few reasons why she would rather give birth in a hospital setting. She went on to say that several of her sisters had given birth at home but were later taken to hospitals owing to problems, and she referred to the experience as scary. After that, the married couple discussed the risks associated with giving birth at home, particularly in situations when the woman needed to make emergency phone calls in the event that issues arose during the labor process. On the other hand, the user on Reddit believes that it was a slight to Jinger's sister Jessa, who had to deal with a great deal of difficulties, including a terrifying labor that lasted for 48 hours, which ultimately compelled her to change her intentions to give birth at home. Putting his foot down and saying hell no to a home birth is probably the most sensible thing Jeremy has ever done, said the mother during the birth of her child. In addition, I would want to criticize Jana for being shady and judgmental against her because she made the decision to receive an epidural, as if Jana had any room to speak about that. Jessa, Jill, and Joy all attempted to give birth at home, but they were transported to a hospital. What I have learned from this is that Jinger, and most likely Jessa as well, is not familiar with the concept of holistic. With regard to Jessa's home deliveries, I would state that they were not holistic because she did not attend to both her bodily and mental requirements. She put her social requirements ahead of her physical health and prioritized them the most. In addition to the fact that Jinger is making fun of Jessa and Jana, she has also lost her hillbilly accent. It is clear from this that she is intent on eradicating any and all aspects of her identity that are associated with the state of Arkansas. Counting On, Jinger Duggar recounts the first holidays spent with her family in their new home. Jinger Duggar has been documenting their vacations in addition to her pregnancy, which she has been maintaining. More recently, the former cast member of Counting On released videos from their new home where they are currently decorating for the holiday season. She captioned the photo with the phrase, "Okay, we're officially ready for winter." In addition to that, they have a massive Christmas tree that is kept inside, which they had already decorated before Thanksgiving. A gender reveal party may or may not take place this month. It is not apparent at this time. On the other hand, there are people who believe that Jinger and Jeremy might hold off on the much-anticipated unveiling until the following year. The Duggar family, widely known for their reality show 19 Kids and Counting, has become an infamous household name in American entertainment. Over the years, the family's immense popularity, combined with their ultra-conservative beliefs, has brought them into the public spotlight and generated both adoration and controversy. Among the many Duggar siblings, Jinger Duggar and Jessa Duggar have emerged as two of the most notable figures. Both have carved out their own paths since the show's end, but their differing personalities and life choices have given rise to speculation and occasionally stirred public interest. Recently, in a podcast episode that left listeners buzzing, Jinger Duggar appeared to make subtle remarks that some fans have interpreted as a jab at her sister Jessa. In the world of celebrity families, where media portrayal and public relationships are often intertwined with personal lives, even the smallest comment can spark waves of speculation. This article explores what led to these accusations of shade, examines the dynamics of the Duggar family, and reflects on the implications of this latest development. The Duggar family's public image. Before delving into the podcast itself, it's essential to understand the broader context of the Duggar family's public image. Jim, Bob, and Michelle Duggar raised their 19 children in a strict Christian household with a strong emphasis on homeschooling, modesty, and the traditional family structure. Their reality shows, first 19 Kids and Counting and later Counting On, presented an idealized image of the Duggar family dynamic, focusing heavily on the parents' guiding influence, the children's romantic relationships, and their many milestones such as births, weddings, and new family members. The family's emphasis on religious beliefs, gender roles, and traditionalism was both praised by some and criticized by others. Despite the controversy, the Duggars were able to maintain a fan base, attracting viewers who admired their wholesome lifestyle. However, over the years, cracks began to appear in the seemingly perfect facade. The family faced numerous scandals, most notably the admission by eldest son Josh Duggar of sexual abuse allegations, which caused a major rift and ultimately led to the cancellation of 19 Kids and Counting. After the scandal, many of the Duggar children, including Jinger and Jessa, began to distance themselves from their parents' public image. They sought to define themselves as individuals, with many stepping out to explore new careers, ideas, and lifestyles. Jinger Duggar, in particular, became a prominent figure in this redefinition, which leads us to the topic of this article. Jinger Duggar's public evolution. Jinger Duggar has undergone a significant transformation since her days on the family's reality TV show. She was one of the first Duggar children to challenge the more conservative, sheltered views that were heavily promoted on 19 Kids and Counting. In 2016, Jinger married Jeremy Vuolo, and the couple moved to Los Angeles. This marked a pivotal moment for Jinger as she began to explore a more modern, liberal lifestyle. She was often seen dressing in more fashionable, contemporary clothing, stepping away from the conservative dress code the Duggars were known for. As time went on, Jinger and Jeremy became more outspoken in their approach to life. Jinger, in particular, began to challenge some of the doctrines she had been raised with, including her views on modesty, religion, and gender roles. She frequently shared her thoughts with her growing social media audience, offering insights into her evolving beliefs and lifestyle choices. This shift in her personal philosophy was widely noticed by fans, some of whom supported her efforts to create a new identity separate from her parents' expectations, while others criticized her for betraying the family's values. Regardless, Jinger's transformation was apparent, and she became a voice for those who felt similarly disillusioned by the rigid upbringing of the Duggar family. One area where Jinger became particularly vocal was in her podcasting and social media content. Together with her husband Jeremy, Jinger began hosting a podcast where they discussed their faith, life choices, and personal experiences. This platform allowed Jinger to communicate her thoughts more openly, and it wasn't long before the couple's podcast began to attract attention from Duggar fans as well as outsiders curious about their lifestyle changes. The podcast and the shade incident. In the podcast episode that sparked much of the recent speculation, Jinger Duggar and her husband Jeremy were discussing various aspects of family life, faith, and personal growth. What began as a routine episode of their show, however, quickly escalated when Jinger made several remarks that seemed pointed and potentially directed toward her sister, Jessa Duggar. Fans and commentators were quick to pick up on the subtle implications in Jinger's tone and the words she used. During the conversation, Jinger made a comment about how she had made decisions in her life that allowed her to grow beyond the constraints that had once held her back. She mentioned that many people who grew up in the same environment as her, referring to the Duggar family's upbringing, often feel the need to adhere to a particular set of rules, even into adulthood. Though she didn't mention any names, the implication was clear. Jinger felt that she had found freedom from a strict set of expectations that she believed might still influence some of her siblings, including Jessa. Jinger also mentioned how her and Jeremy's relationship had been based on mutual respect and individual growth, rather than adhering to a strict set of gender roles or traditional expectations. This, too, seemed like a subtle criticism of the dynamics in other Duggar relationships. For many, this appeared to be an indirect reference to Jessa's marriage to Ben Seawald, which had often been depicted as very traditional, with Ben taking on the role of the provider and Jessa being the homemaker and mother. Jessa Duggar, unlike her sister, has remained more closely aligned with her family's traditional values. She and Ben have continued to emphasize the importance of family and faith in their public lives, which some believe mirrors the Duggar patriarch's strong leadership style. In contrast, Jinger and Jeremy have openly discussed their more modern liberal approach to marriage and life, often emphasizing partnership and shared responsibilities. The contrast between the two sisters' lifestyles, particularly their approach to marriage and faith, has led many fans to wonder whether Jinger's remarks were deliberately aimed at Jessa. The episode's tone, coupled with the timing of these comments, has led to widespread speculation and criticism. Jessa Duggar's response. As of now, Jessa has not publicly responded to the alleged shade from her sister. In the Duggar family, public confrontations are rare. Family members tend to keep matters private, preferring to handle disputes behind closed doors. This means that while Jinger's comments have sparked online debates, it is unlikely that Jessa will address them publicly in any direct way. It's also worth noting that Jessa has a much more significant public presence due to her family's support. Her own social media accounts, which are highly curated, focus heavily on her family life, faith, and the ongoing adventures of raising young children with Ben. Jessa's fans are fiercely loyal, and her public persona is built around the values she was raised with, which continue to inform her worldview. While the lack of a response from Jessa may leave many questions unanswered, it is also possible that the sisters may be navigating their differences in private. The Duggar family, despite the dramatic shift in their public personas, remains a close-knit unit, and it is likely that they have ways of addressing personal matters without involving the public. The fallout from the podcast. Jinger's comments on the podcast sparked conversations about the larger issue of family dynamics within the Duggar household. For years, fans have speculated about the tension that might exist between the Duggar children, particularly as they mature and begin to make their own choices. The public nature of their lives, however, means that even subtle changes in perspective can lead to intense scrutiny. The episode also highlighted the growing divide between the more traditional Duggars and those who, like Jinger, have embraced a more modern, progressive view of life. This division is perhaps most starkly illustrated in the relationships between the siblings who are now adults, each with their own vision of how they should live their lives. Whether or not Jinger intended to shade Jessa remains unclear. Some fans argue that Jinger's comments were innocently reflective, part of her ongoing personal journey to carve out a unique identity separate from her upbringing. Others feel that the remarks were purposefully crafted to call attention to the differences between the two sisters. The ambiguity surrounding Jinger's intentions is what has caused the most buzz on social media and in fan communities. The Duggar family's evolution over the years has been marked by a significant shift in the way the siblings portray their lives. Jinger Duggar's more public departure from her family's strict rules and beliefs is one of the most notable changes in this regard. While some of her comments on her podcast may have appeared to be an indirect critique of her sister Jessa's more traditional lifestyle, it's important to remember that family dynamics are complicated and public statements can sometimes be misinterpreted. In the world of the Duggar family, where every word and action is analyzed and scrutinized, it's no surprise that Jinger's comments have caused such a stir. Whether or not Jessa will address the situation directly remains to be seen, but one thing is certain. The Duggar family's story is far from over, and their evolving relationships will continue to captivate the public's attention. If you are looking for additional information regarding the Duggar family, you should return to Bombshell 25 for all of your updates.